Hey, welcome to the channel. This is Oblivion, and we are here with the December Refine. So let's go ahead and go through all of them, break them down, talk about their strengths and weaknesses, and then decide who got the best Refine for the month. Let's start off with a fan favorite with Kronya. So we have a Thame, grants rest +3 if units initiates combat or foes HP is less than or equal to 99% at the start of combat. Attack and speed +5 to unit during combat. If foe initiates combat, foe's HP is less than or equal to 99%, Kronya gets Vantage essentially. And then also, if she initiates combat, or if she is solo, she gets another attack and speed +5 during combat. And after combat, she deals 5 damage to target and foes within 2 spaces, and does like an exposure smoke. So essentially, she's out here exposing herself, which really is, kind of in character for Kronya. So how good is this Refine really, right? Essentially, it does give Kronya what she needs, because what she struggles with the most, and has always struggled with the most, is actually securing kills. Because she does have like a very low attack stat of 31, which is really low for when she came out. So getting attack and speed +10 is very nice. And then also getting like a savage blow effect where she's going to deal that extra 5 damage to the target and the foes. And then also inflict exposure on them. So this Refine is solid. It gives her the thing she really needs, which is more damage. That's exactly what she needs, right? She wants to get people low on HP, and then they all just come into her, and she just Vantage sweeps them all, right? The problem is she's still lacking a bit of power, right? She still doesn't have enough power to get through all the chunky units we have nowadays in the meta. The meta is just full of heroes who are extremely difficult to kill, and I don't know if this is enough to make her really that much more powerful, right? The reason for that is that while she is getting 10 more attack and speed, and she is essentially getting like 5 more damage once she initiates combat, the exposure is good because it's going to give that 10 true damage on every encounter after the first. But because she's only going to be really attacking once, because essentially what you want is they're attacking to her, you want to attack once and kill them. You don't want them to hit you after the first hit, because they might proc a special or they might just one-shot you, so you really want them to die. Exposure is really good when you have like a Brave effect or something like that. That's when it's really insane. So someone like Altina or like Summer Elgard who have those Brave weapons can really take full advantage of exposure. While Kronya can take somewhat advantage of it, she's still getting that 10 true damage, which is solid, but she's not getting the insane amount like with a Brave weapon where you're getting 20 true damage. So I think this Refine overall does make Kronya better, and she is going to be much more usable, but I'm not sure if it's going to make her like back into the meta like she was when she came out. I will say one thing though, if you really love Kronya and you really want to use her a ton, the best thing you can actually do, I think, is inherit Special Spiral 4 to her. It's going to make her ridiculously much more powerful. It essentially fixes her biggest problem, which is securing kills. Because Special Spiral 4 is going to give her 5 more true damage when the special procs. It's going to recharge her special, so you can use something like Ruptured Sky, right? And after that first combat, she'll Rupture Sky every single combat when she does her first attack, which will do a lot more damage. But most importantly, it will shred damage reduction, which is really, really important because you're going to be running into things like Medius or like other units who are going to have damage reduction, and being able to get through that is very important for securing kills. So overall, I think Kronya got a decent Refine, but honestly, the introduction of Special Spiral 4 is really going to be the big thing that lets Kronya come back into relevance. Okay, up next we got Na, who has her upgraded Oracle's Breath. It grants attack +3 at start of combat if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 50%, or if a bonus is active on Na, she gets +4 to all stats during combat, and then a foe can make a follow-up attack, and then she has her typical adaptive damage. And then also her Refine is at start of turn, if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, she gets a visible defense and resistance +6 buff to herself and her allies, and then she also gets a breath effect for herself and allies, which is really, really cool. Then if she initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, she gets +4 to all stats during combat, and she gets a bonus doubler effect, but instead of it being based off her own bonuses, it's based off her allies' bonuses within 2 spaces. So essentially this is really cool because it will allow her to get around like lulls or dull all effects, meaning that she will be able to get those stats even if someone has one of those skills. What I really like about this Refine is that it gives Na more power so that she can be a strong combat unit. She can kind of fill that Omni Tank role because she's going to get +8 to all stats, and then she can also like take advantage of like essentially bonus doublers effects. So she can get a ton of stats, right? And she can also deny the foe's follow-up attack, which is important as an Omni Tank. But more importantly to me is that she can offer a layer of support. She can give out those visible buffs, and she can also give out the breath effect, which is really, really cool and really powerful. Now, the problem with this, in my opinion, is that Na does not have, she's a dragon. She can't Gale Force. And while you can run her on a Gale Force team, if this effect was on like a beast unit, it would be insane. Because then they could use it not only to accelerate their own specials, but their entire teams. Which means you could take off things like Heavy Blade or Flashing Blade. Essentially, like it would be like a duo Thor effect in a sense. But you wouldn't have to have Thor within 2 spaces, right? Or you wouldn't have to have Na in 2 spaces. So it's really, really could have been cooler in my opinion. It is still really good. It's going to allow Na to like spam 2 cooldown specials, so she can like essentially get hit and then she can retaliate with like a noontime or like a glimmer or something like that, which is cool. But because dragons don't have like the insanely cool specials like Vital Astra or something like that, it's good but not phenomenal. Also, she doesn't have special cooldown built into her weapons. She can't really take advantage of like Ether or something like that. So I think overall this is a big upgrade for Nash. She's going to make her a much better unit, and she's going to be like a better Omni tank while offering that support. But I don't think it's going to make her into like a phenomenal like tier 1 Omni tank, right? Like she's not going to be like Witch Corin or like Brave Dimitri or like Flamelin or anything like that. But it will make her much more usable. Okay, next up we're going to get to our first duo hero of this batch, Duo Ephraim. So we have the Regan Leaf Refine with effective against armored and cav foes, grants attack +3. Unit cannot be slowed by terrain. At start of combat, if unit's attack is greater than foe's attack, or if a bonus is active on Ephraim, he gets +4 to all stats during combat. And then also, I don't know why they repeated this, and they could just combine it into one sentence, but whatever. During combat, if unit's attack is greater than foe's attack, or if bonus is active on unit again, unit can make a guaranteed follow-up attack. They need to get an English major in here to fix these sentences. Anyway, the actual Refine itself is if a bonus is active on Ephraim, he gets Canto remaining +1, which is really cool. And then at the start of even number turns, he can move 1 extra space. And then lastly, if he's above 25% HP, he's going to get +4 to all stats. And if a bonus is active on him, he can deny the foe's follow-up attack. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this weapon, but honestly, it's not like insanely crazy, right? Essentially, he's going to get a guaranteed follow-up attack, he's going to deny the follow-up attack of enemies, he's going to get +8 to all stats, and then on even turns, he's moving more, and he can move through like trees and stuff, which is kind of cool. I'm not mad that they included that, but I feel like they could have put something better there. And then he also gets that like even Tempest. So how good is this, right? Ephraim's not exactly the fastest unit, right? You can like speed stack him, but he's not going to be able to catch up with units who are naturally speedy. So having a guaranteed follow-up attack that is with an easier condition is nice. And then having a follow denial will also help a bit, but he is going to be weak to stuff like no follow-up, obviously. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage because of that effect against armored and cavalry foes. And he's also going to be able to like move really far in, kill something hopefully, and then Canto out to safety. I think this is a good refine. It's very solid, but I wish it had more. I wish it just had more. Because we have units like Brave Alm, right? And Brave Alm just has +1 movement all the time. Why couldn't Duo Ephraim have that? It would not have broken him at all. It would have made him very unique and very cool. Now it's kind of like you have to play around even number terms to really take full advantage of his kit. And I think that's kind of sucks. I wish they would have just made it like all the time he gets extra movement. Duo Ephraim got a very solid refine, and it's going to make him unique amongst Lance Infantry. But I do wish they would have given him a bit more. I wish they would have been like maybe included like damage reduction so he could have been more of a duelist, or maybe tempo effect so he could have been a better Gale Forcer or something like that, right? Just something to make him stand out even more, because as he is now, he's going to be kind of weird. He can like kind of go in on even turns, hit somebody, maybe kill them, and then get out. But like other than that, he doesn't really do as much. He's kind of in a weird place where he's like between Brave Alm and like a Nyla. So I don't know. I think it's good refine. I'm happy for him, but I wish they would have done. I wish they would have pushed it a little bit farther. Okay, let's move on to Hubert with his Retainer's Report. At start of combat, if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, or if a penalty is active on the foe, he gets +4 to all stats during combat, and he makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Then his actual refine is if a rally or a movement assist skill, like reposition, shove, pivot, etc., is used by a unit or targets Hubert, inflicts attack, defense, and resistance -7, inflicts guard and exposure on foes in cardinal directions of unit and target after movement through their next actions. And then at start of combat, if he's at 25% HP or higher, he'll get another +4 to all stats. So I'm gonna be honest, this refine's kind of lame in my opinion. Essentially what it's gonna do is just give Hubert some stats so he can actually have combat. He gets a guaranteed fall attack, which he really does need because the speed is kind of middling, but really all this refine does is make Hubert into like a ruse bot, essentially. Like he essentially has like an improved ruse where he's gonna be able to inflict -7 to 3 stats instead of 2, and instead of just getting guard, he also gets exposure. So how often is this really going to be usable? Like maybe you use this with like a Vantage tank or something, right? You put out your Vantage unit and then you have like Hubert put guard on them and exposure, so it's easier for them to Vantage sweep. It's okay. It's just not really that great. I don't see where you're really going to be using Hubert unless you love him, right? Unless you love Hubert, you're probably not going to want to use him ever in Ether raids. Definitely not going to use him in Summoner duels for sure. I mean, when you compare him to like your other options, right? You could use a mythic hero and then just put a ruse on them and you're getting a majority of the effects right there, and you're not taking up a support slot. Or you just use Duo Thor, and Duo Thor is going to throw exposure on majority of the team anyway, and you also get an amazing unit. So I'm sorry to all the Hubert fans, but I really think this is an underwhelming weapon, and I don't think it's very good. Though it does fit his personality very thematically. Okay, and then our final refine of the match is going to be Winter Marth. We have Winter Marth refined with effective against flying blows, grants speed +3. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 50%, or if a bonus is active on unit, grants +4 to all stats, and special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack during combat. Then his actual refine is if unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, he gets another +4 to all stats during combat. And if foe initiates combat and uses bow, dagger, magic, or staff, and Marth's speed is greater than the foe's speed, unit can counterattack before foe's first attack, and unit can make a follow-up attack before foe can counterattack. Okay, so let's break this down. Essentially, he's going to get a ton of stats, right? He gets +8 to all stats, really solid. Then he's going to get a blade effect. It's like a heavy blade or a flashing blade effect, but it doesn't have a check on it. So he's going to be able to accelerate his special really easily into Fire Emblem, which is cool. Then, if he gets engaged on by a ranged unit, essentially, and his speed is higher than theirs, he gets Vantage. But he gets Super Vantage. He gets the legendary Self effect, where he can essentially double back before they get a chance to attack, which is really, really, really cool. I really like this effect, because the thing is with ranged armors, they can't use Hardy Fighter at all. And so if you want to use them in the meta of save skills, which is kind of going out the door, but still, if you want to use them with save skills, essentially the best way to do that is like you have to like build up their speed, and hopefully they don't get doubled, and they don't get like hit by a Deadeye or lethality. And that's why you really don't see ranged far save armors all that much in the meta, because they have that major weakness. But with Marth's Refine, he really gets a really cool, unique niche, because he doesn't have to have Hardy Fighter. He essentially is going all in on killing foes. So when you have those foes come in and they try to attack you, Marth is just going to double them. He's going to hit them once, and then he's going to hit them with a Fire Emblem, and hopefully explode them, and they won't even get a chance to do any damage to them, which is awesome. I think this is a really powerful effect, especially tied to a Vantage unit. With Legendary Self, a lot of times he has to take that hit and then he attacks twice back, and then hopefully he kills the foe and is healing so he can keep doing that effect. But with Marth, he should never get hit. Essentially, they engage in on him and then he gets to kill them, which is awesome. So I think this is a really cool, unique take on ranged far saves, and I hope we get to see more of this kind of effect in the future. Now, the things to think about, right, is how powerful is Winter Marth himself, right? If you don't have him heavily invested, he might not get kills, which is a bit scary, right? Because if he hits the first time and then he does some damage, and then the second time he hits the Fire Emblem, that might not be enough, especially because he doesn't have a way to get through damage reduction, so it might be a bit scary. Even so, I think this is a really cool refine. It really makes Winter Marth very unique compared to any other ranged far save in the game. Okay, so overall, who won the refine war for December? In my opinion, I'm going to give it to Winter Marth. I think Winter Marth has the coolest effect by far of these refines. He gets all the stats he needs, he can fulfill a meta role of a far saver now, and he also has Fire Emblem, so he does get that really powerful special that can do 30% of his speed and actually buff his allies as well. After that, I'm going to give it a tie between Na and Duo Ephraim. Na does get that really cool effect of being able to be a support unit and give out those buffs and the breath effect to her allies, while also herself being much more powerful because of that breath effect and the bonus doubler that works with allies. Essentially, she's going to become better at her role while also providing support. And that's really what you want in a unit nowadays. You want them to have a dual role on the team. Now, when it comes to Duo Ephraim pretty much got most of the things he needs. He is going to be a better combat unit, right? He's going to be able to go in and out with his Tempest and his Canto, and he's going to be able to hit really hard with all those stats. But I do wish that it was just 3 movement all the time, if I'm being honest. After that, I'm going to give it to Kronya. Kronya got what she needed, kind of, right? Like, she got the attack and speed she needed, and she did get ways to do a bit more damage, but I don't think it's enough, honestly. And then lastly, we have Hubert, and I just think Hubert's pretty underwhelming. He's much more usable than he was, but he doesn't really stand out in any way, in my opinion. He's not really like a great nuke, and his support is okay, but not amazing, especially because it does take his action. So you're going to have to like either use a rally or a reposition or something like that just to get the effects of his weapon. While nowadays you have so many units who just give out support effects for free, like Legendary Ellie would, like Duo Thor. But now I'd love to hear from you. Which refine is your favorite, and which units do you plan to refine? Make sure to leave a comment down below letting me know. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch y'all later.